After hundreds of hours of simulation runtime, this is my review of how the DOF Reality H3 is held up. If you're about to spend £2,500 on a motion simulator, you need to know how the motion feels, whether it has reliability issues, and whether it's worth it for your setup. To give this platform a real stress test, I've ran the motion profiles at the absolute extreme settings to push it to its physical limits, and I've also used fine-tuned profiles that are more similar to real-world telemetry. Let's get straight into how the motion feels. After spending a lot of time in the seat, you realise that a platform like the H3 is never going to simulate real-life G-forces, just like a monitor is never going to simulate visuals from a real cockpit. However, what it does do, and does really well, is give you that extra connection so you're not just relying on what you can see. When you brake into an apex, you can literally feel the car slowing down. On a bumpy straight, it's way more immersive feeling the bumps as you go over them. When you go around a fast corner, you can feel the leaning effect moving you to the side. And when you go up an incline, you can feel it creates the illusion of the altitude change. One of the issues that I had when I first started was this front wheel completely disintegrated. It's completely my fault, but something that you need to be aware of. The issue was that I had this wheel mount bracket too low down, so when it turned on and calibrated, or in a game when it pitched forward, it was hitting the front wheel and broke it. Without looking back at the instructions, I'm not sure how crystal clear it was on how far you can put the wheel bracket down, but it definitely didn't stand out, so just something to be aware of. Luckily, this was a straightforward fix because the wheels are the same as a skateboard wheel, which this is what this is. And I managed to pick up a set of 4 from Amazon for about £10. Now this is how it's supposed to turn on and calibrate. But sometimes it turns on, moves very slowly and stops the calibration. This is an easy fix and you just need to switch it off, switch it back on and it will complete the calibration. Just give it a few seconds. And then it's good to go. Tiny bit annoying, but not a big problem. Next, let's talk about how loud the control box is and how loud the simulator is. This is the control box from about 1 meter away. And now let's go right next to it. It probably sounds louder on camera, but in real person, it's pretty quiet. It's about half the sound of my PC fans. Now the simulator itself is a lot louder. You've got the sound of the motors and you've got the sound of the frame moving around. When measuring the decibels, it was about 30 to 40 decibels for the motors, and it peaked at about 65 decibels for the frame moving around. I say if you're in an apartment, then you might need to put a mat underneath it to protect the floor and to dampen the noise for those bigger movements. If you're running normal settings, then it won't be much of an issue, but if you crank the settings up, then this thing can get pretty crazy, and this is what happened to my wall and my TV. Which type of games does the H3 shine at, and which does it struggle with? If you play driving games with high impact crashes like BeamNG or Wreckfest, then you need to be realistic with the immersion. If you're crashing from 100 miles per hour to 0 in a split second, then you're going to get a slight delay before the motion kicks in, as well as the amount of motion that you're going to get. This is really clear when you crash and go upside down because clearly this cannot replicate that type of movement. For all track games, trucking games and street racing games, the motion is excellent. So if you play F1, Assetto Corsa, Euro Truck and games like these, you're going to really appreciate the immersion boost. The software for the H3 is called Sim Racing Studio. In the games tab, there's a list of all the games supported, and once you load a game, come back over to the tuning tab and you'll see that the game's loaded automatically. And here are the options for the motion. It may look quite complicated at first, but once you get used to it, it's actually pretty straightforward and allows you to dial in the amount of motion that you want on any particular game. Back over to the games tab, most games that you have installed don't need any configuration and are ready to play. Any games that do need configuration, just press instructions and it'll tell you what you need to do in game to set this up. Overall, it does look a little bit dated, but I think it makes it simple to use without making it too complicated and having too many options. When you finish configuring your options, just hit save in the top corner and these will be saved for the next time that you launch the game. So is the H3 worth the big cost? If you're a serious sim racer and you're going to use it every day, then yes, because it's going to add a lot of immersion, a lot more fun to each session that you do. If you're a casual sim racer, then it's a lot of money to spend if you're only going to use it like once a week. If you're just getting into it, then I say no. You'd be better off spending that money on other sim racing gear. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, just let me know and I'll do my best to answer them.